it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, and Happy New Year. It's time for Toker Talk Radio. You can toke, you can talk, you can talk about toke, you can toke while you talk. We're just glad to have you here. Thanks for being here, and hello to everyone in the chat room. Howdy, chatters. I gotta say, my new year has started well. Green Bay Packers won their showdown with the Detroit Lions, embarrassing them on their home field to win the NFC North and make the playoffs for the 8th straight year. They'll be facing the New York Football Giants in Lambeau Field, and that's always scary to me because the last 2 times the New York Football Giants went to the Super Bowl, they went and beat Green Bay. So time for the revenge game, I guess. Let's hope for the best. It's supposed to be down to single digits at Lambeau for the football game, so that's some real football weather. I love them cold weather games. Let's talk a little bit about marijuana. It is what the show's about. There's up on masslive.com a ad or a story talking about a man who advertised that he was selling empty plastic baggies for $325. You could buy a plastic baggie for $325 from this guy that just happens to have an ounce of free marijuana to go with it because it's legal to give marijuana away. This was spotted by NEPR on the Western Massachusetts Craigslist page. You can give marijuana away, and that's fine, right? Like, I'm an adult. I can hand you an ounce of weed. That's fine. And this guy is taking that, and this happens in every state that legalizes, by the way. This isn't just like, oh my God, something crazy happened in Massachusetts. So far, every state that is legalized that has, you can gift marijuana to someone, get some genius who says, oh, I know, if I sell bags for $300, but then I'll give you the weed. This is not the first time this has happened. This guy is named Corey on his Craigslist post, has a disclaimer, quote, disclaimer, I am selling you an empty bag. Marijuana placed in that empty sandwich bag is simply a legal gift, not connected in any way, no space there, anyway, to any sale. Well, genius. First of all, if you put something in the bag, it's not an empty bag. So right there, you're defrauding the buyer. Damn it, I bought an empty bag. There's something in this bag. Now what am I going to do? Right? But District Attorney David Sullivan says, quote, to say an empty baggie costs $350 is ridiculous. I think it's a clear fraud on its face. The other thing, too, is that the Massachusetts law doesn't let you advertise marijuana. Can't advertise it in any way. I don't even think you can advertise giving it away. That's what it says. Gifts of marijuana, while legal, are also not allowed to be advertised to the public. This was to prevent marijuana retailers that they'll eventually have in Massachusetts from having, buy one, get one free, or, first joint free giveaway or something like that. So, all right. Well, we'll be back with some more here on the Russ Belville Show with a dozen quick facts about marijuana legalization in the United States for 2017. Stay tuned.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Every strain, every sale, every medical study. Keep it right here on the Cannabis Radio Network.
Great websites today need expert web design and development and need to be e-commerce ready and mobile friendly. But building a marketable and profitable website can be an uphill climb. Ready to make your new website or replace your existing website? Think Orange as the new way to get in the black. Orange Hill Development works with Fortune 500 companies and offer the same top quality development service at a fraction of what other providers charge. Brands like Absolute, Carlsberg, and Nestea trust Orange Hill Development. Find out why you should trust your website with Orange Hill. Contact Orange Hill for a consultation today at orangehilldevelopment.com. It's time to Hemp Present
with Enadina Stanger.
I say to you with all the fervor of my soul that God intended men to be free. Rebellion against tyranny is a righteous cause. And I believe that with every ounce of my soul, we are fighting a righteous cause because people need nature.
Marijuana! Hemp Present, only on Cannabis Radio.
Sweet sativa.
The Russ Belville Show reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while and share.
The Russ Belville Show is proudly sponsored by the Marijuana Business Association. The MJBA, called by NBC News the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, is the fastest growing business association in the fastest growing industry in America. I've been working with the MJBA for years, and I personally invite you to join the MJBA. MJBA also publishes the popular MJ Headline News on Facebook and the MJNewsNetwork.com and Marijuana Channel 1 on YouTube. Visit mjba.net for more details.
Hello, Mr. Man. Hi. I'm working. I'm sorry. No food till this is done. This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
All right. Hey, that Mass Live story just cracks me up. Guy trying to sell empty baggies. But his writing cracks me up, too. That one sentence he said, anyway, right? There's another one in the story about gifting medicine to people who so direly need it. Direly. I did not know dire had an adjective form or an adverb form. Whatever. Anyway, not exactly geniuses here, but it does go to show how idiotic the governor of Massachusetts and the governor of Maine are, and their administrations and their legislatures, for delaying the opening of retail pot shops. Oh, we need more time. Oh, we don't know how we're going to regulate it. Well, first of all, you're not inventing the wheel here. You got some other states you might take a look at. They've been doing it for 2 to 4 years already. So that doesn't engender much sympathy from me that, we don't know what to do. We need to be very careful. Our state. 4 other states have done this already. 3 of them are in full swing. And also, this need to delay is just really, I think, an attempt to run out the clock and hope that the Trump administration comes in and maybe there's some injunctions or lawsuits or decisions that make it impossible to open pot shops. Really, I think that's what they're doing. I think these East Coast guys just can't stand the idea of marijuana being legalized, and this is their Hail Mary. Let's just delay it as long as we can, hope for the best. But what they don't understand is that what they're doing in this delay is right there in that story. You got the Craigslist guy selling $325 empty baggies with a gift of an ounce of weed. Right? You're going to have more and more of that. You're going to have people in the parking lots and guys that are, dealing out of their Uber and whatever the hell. You're just going to increase that which legalization is supposed to decrease, the underground market and the untaxed, unregulated sales of marijuana that benefit, at best, just average folks, at worst, criminals. And this was a lesson that, and I know that we're talking Charlie Baker, governor up there in Massachusetts, is a Republican, and Paul LePage is, Republican and barely human. But both of these guys could learn a lesson from our Republicans out here in Oregon. Now, full disclaimer, an Oregon Republican may be a little bit more, not as hardcore as your average, say Idaho Republican or Arizona Republican, but we got some Oregon Republicans. And when we legalized, our law had a big delay in it. We didn't get legal possession until July 1st of 2015, right? So it passed in November of 2014. We had to wait 8 months before we were actually technically legal. Now, Oregon had always been decrim. You could have an ounce and just get a ticket. And most of the prosecuting attorneys after the election said, screw it. We're not going to bust nobody or prosecute nobody. But still, there was it took till 8 months before we were legal. And the original plan in our initiative was that it would go legal on July 1st, 2015. And then we'd give them a year plus before there'd be open pot shops, like September 2016 or October 2016, right? And we were fine with that. We didn't even think twice about that. We're like, in fact, the extra time was kind of written into the initiative as in, all right, let's give them a lot of time so they can't bitch about, oh my God, we're inventing the wheel. We don't know what we're doing, right? So we'll give them plenty of time so they can work out all the regs. They can have all the hearings. We'll give them plenty of time. Well, July comes around. It's coming up to July 2015, and our Republican senator from Eastern Oregon, this guy named Ted Ferrioli, says, hold on a second. If we legalize them to possess and grow in July, but we don't give them a place to shop until 15 months away, doesn't that just benefit the black market somehow? Congratulations, Ted Ferrioli. Yes, he was exactly right. And this is what Paul LePage, this is what Charlie Baker out there in Maine and Massachusetts could learn from a Republican colleague. He went and authored a bill that said, all right, well, look, we got all these medical marijuana shops. They're selling weed right now. Why don't we just let the recreational folks go shop at the medical shops for a while? Until we can get the regulated shops up, until we can get the rec shops up with regulations and licensing and testing, we'll just put them into the medical shops and we'll slap a 25% tax on them. Make some money while we're at it. Now, those of us in the rec community, we're like, yeah, we can go shop at the pot shops? Hell yeah, let's sign on to that. And so this got passed, and it opened up the medical shops to recreational purchasers as of October 1st of 2015. We went from legal possession to legal shops in 3 months. And the state of Oregon made a buku bunch of money from October of 2015 till the end of this last year. Now, as of January 1st, now these medical shops can't sell to the recreational consumers anymore. That was a temporary thing. And there's no longer that 25% tax. Now the recreational shops that exist are charging 17% state tax plus up to 3% local tax. So it's always 3%. So you might as well just say 20% tax, right? But that was one of the most brilliant political moves. And for a Republican, I mean, there are not a lot of moves. I look at Republicans and go, thank you for doing that, right? Here's one where I'm really thankful for the Republicans that said, hey, we don't want to have our legalization supporting the underground criminal market. Well, apparently Charlie Baker and Paul LePage do. Apparently Charlie Baker and Paul LePage, because as of December 15th, it became legal to possess and grow in Massachusetts. As of January 30th, it becomes legal to possess and grow in Maine. And these guys are talking about delaying the opening of pot shops to the middle of 2018. We're talking about a year and a half of underground market bonanza. Because now, if you were that guy who was growing weed before as a criminal, as subject to prosecution, right? You were on the underground market. There was all sorts of pinch points, all sorts of places where you could get caught. They could find the results of your grow. They could do infrared search. They could find seeds and stems in your garbage. They could pick up one of your couriers. They could catch you in the middle of a buy. All sorts of ways that you could have got caught. With legalization, almost all of those ways go away. Drug sniffing dogs can't be used anymore. The results of infrared searches don't tell us that a crime is in progress. Finding seeds and stems don't tell us that a crime's in progress. Picking up a courier who's got less than an ounce on him doesn't show the crime's in progress. The only way you could actually bust a sale is to be the undercover officer making the buy. You couldn't bust people who had made the buy and catch them for possession, right? So now all the underground guys who'd been supplying Massachusetts and Maine this whole time, they're harder to catch now. And they can grow more and sell more. And now the customers who were purchasing from those underground markets, they have less to fear. They can buy more at once. And there'll be more competition between these guys now. And the prices will probably drop. So there'll be more weed sold. And every ounce that gets sold is being sold at 0% taxes. For 18 months, Paul LePage, for 18 months, Charlie Baker, you're going to see more marijuana, more black market, more sales, and not get a dime from it. You guys are cutting off your nose to spite your face here. But that's to be expected. Again, and the only way this makes sense to me is if they're doing it as a stalling tactic. They're doing it with the hopes that the longer we wait, the better chance the incoming administration in some way makes it difficult or impossible to open up shops. Or part of it may be, hey, if we wait just a little longer, more data will come out. More bad news will come out. We'll finally get that news that tells us that more kids are smoking pot. We'll finally get that news that tells us there's more schizophrenia or whatever the hell they think is going to come out of it. But it would really behoove them to do an early sales program. And for that matter, California, Nevada, y'all could be doing it too. California's already got the regulations for their medical marijuana industry set up. They passed that MRSA. Used to be MRSA, now it's MRSA. Nevada's already got dispensaries. I don't even know. Maybe they are doing an early sales thing out of Nevada. I'm not sure. But this is something that as more states continue to legalize, and looking at 2017, we may have some legislative legalization, folks. We might have Vermont. We might have Rhode Island passing legalization through their legislatures. And as we lobby for these, and of course, 2018, we're looking at Michigan going back at it again. Missouri may go for medical again in 2018. Arizona might try again in 2018. But as we lobby for these and as we write these initiatives, we need to be focused on this speed, the transition from legal to sales. And we need to start highlighting that the longer you make that transition, the longer that time takes, the more money you're just throwing away. You're throwing away tax revenue and you're increasing the black market. You're increasing the underground market that you're trying to get away from. And if we can continue to make that point and present it in a way that these legislators can understand. And part of it is getting them to understand, because for so long they've thought prohibition was how to stop things. And they think prohibition is control. Prohibition is the absence of control. Prohibition is giving up. Prohibition is throwing your hands up and letting the criminals handle it.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
No, Mr. Nixon, I'm afraid that is incorrect.
I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
And that's more true than you know.
We must wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States, the problem of dangerous drugs.
All right, I'm going to wage some more on this joint. We'll be back in just a few.
We have your smoking section right here. This is the Cannabis Radio Network.
The cannabis industry is growing, business is booming, and as new opportunities arise in newly legalized states, each market is getting more competitive. Today, it takes more than just being a good grower. Do you have the resources to market and handle this ever-changing business landscape? Let Canna Management Corporation help you grow your canna business with our vast resources and experience to make your business a fully functional service company. Financial management, HR, sales, marketing, efficiency, and more. CMC has the experience and the expertise to improve your business and help you better meet the demands of your clients and customers. Call Canna Management Corporation and let our team get you ready to grow. 415-269-8015. That's 415-269-8015. Or visit canna-management.com.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
This is the Russ Belville Show, annoying Kevin Sabet since 2012.
At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio.
I have a package here for Radical Rick. Is there a Radical Rick here? How about a Rick Russ? Any Rick Russ? Somebody named Freddie Barack has sent him a package. Anybody? What is that? Sounds like a skunk. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And a quick note, you want to catch my latest writing? I've got a lot of stats and data and graphics and all the blog-worthy stuff that I put up. You can find at weednews.co. Weednews.co. Do you remember a blog called The Weed Blog? So there used to be this blog called The Weed Blog, and there's a long story behind it, but The Weed Blog has been abandoned, and I've joined up with the guys that used to run The Weed Blog. Now, The Weed Blog was a pretty kick-ass blog as far as traffic goes on the internet, right? It was getting like 2 million, hits a month, right? Getting really, it was out trafficking places like Normal and High Times, right? It was getting tons of traffic, right? So in August, they left the Weed Blog. Or they left the Weed Blog in July, and they started weednews.co along with me and Anthony Johnson. Anthony from the Measure 91 here in Oregon, legalization. And Johnny Green, of course, great cannabis activist. And we got involved and started this weednews.co back in August. Okay. So our latest stats here, after just 5 months, we are getting over 250,000 visits a month. That's just in 5 months of work, over 250,000. You got to remember, Weed Blog been up for years before it got up to 2 million. And we're already at 250,000 in just 5 months. So check it out at weednews.co and forward that information to your friends, anybody out there in the cannabis sphere, if they want the latest news, opinion, and analysis on marijuana culture, law, statistics, health, all that kind of stuff, check out weednews.co. It's not a .com. We're stoners, man. We're too lazy for the M. It's weednews.co. Lazy my ass. I'm writing 3-4 posts a day. Anyway, speaking of these posts, here's one of my latest posts that I've got up on weednews.co. It's what I put up today, which is a dozen quick facts about U.S. legal marijuana states. Just, some things to know, right? Because Governor LePage up there in Maine finally signed off on legalization. So Maine is going to be legal as of January 30th, 2017. So it's going to be the ninth state plus D.C., right? And for the rest of this discussion, we're just going to include D.C. as if it were a state, because it ought to be. That's a whole nother rant. But anyway, which state was the first to legalize? Which one got the most votes for legalization? Which states have medical marijuana? What about CBD only? Well, let's take a look at some of the data. First of all, just like George Washington was our first president, Washington was our first legal state. Now, it's true that on election night 2012, that Colorado, being in the Mountain Time Zone, passed its legalization before Washington. But the effective date, the day it became legal, that happened in Washington first. It was December 6th, 2012. And I'll remember it till my dying day because I was there. Yeah, I went up to Seattle, caught the train, went to Seattle. I gathered under the Space Needle with about 40 or 50 of us, other cannabis consumers that showed up. And at midnight on December 6th, we lit up underneath the Space Needle. Even though public consumption, of course, is illegal, we did it anyway. Nobody busted us. And we had some Associated Press photographers there as well. If you search the AP photo archives, you can find a photo of me with a bullhorn doing the countdown to midnight. So I was there to smoke the first legal joint in America with others. Colorado became legal 4 days later on December 10th, 2012. As for the states that passed in 2014, Alaska became the first one. They were on February 24th, 2015. D.C. was February 26th. Oregon, as I mentioned earlier, didn't become legal until July 1st of 2015. Then for the states that just passed their legalization in this last election, California became legal at midnight of election night. So it was like November 9th. Boom, it was legal. Massachusetts went into effect December 15th. Nevada went into effect January 1st, and Maine will go into effect on January 30th. Now, because of this legalization that we have in these 9 jurisdictions, 8 states and D.C., with the passage of Prop 64 in California, the most populous state, we now have over 68 million Americans living where the possession of marijuana by adults is illegal. It's well over 1 out of 5 people. It's 21.23% of the U.S. population lives where marijuana is legal. Now, the other thing, not only is California the most populous state with 39 million people living in legalization, over half of the people living in legalization live in California, but California also holds the distinction of getting the biggest win for legalization, at least out of the states, with 57.13% of the vote. Oregon's got 56.11%. So California beat us by over 1%, but Oregon's was held in a midterm election. So we still hold the record for midterm win. Of course, neither of the states come close to D.C., which passed its legalization with 70.06%. And when it comes to legalizing marijuana, there's only 11 states that have ever had legalization on the ballot. There have been 21 statewide votes to legalize marijuana. This dates all the way back to California's first Prop 19 back in 1972. And of the 11 states that have tried to legalize marijuana, only Washington, Maine, and Massachusetts have succeeded on their first attempt. There were 3 votes in Alaska, 3 in California, 3 in Nevada, and 3 in Oregon. 4 different states that have voted 3 times to legalize, and it took the 3rd time to get it right. Well, what about medical marijuana? with the recent addition of Florida and other populous states like New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, we now have over almost 200 million Americans living where they may qualify to use cannabis as medicine. That's over 60% of the U.S. population. We got 198 million Americans living in medical marijuana states. It's 61.79% of the population. And there are 15 states that voted on medical marijuana and another 15 states that passed it through their legislatures. Of the 15 states that voted on initiatives, there have been 17 initiatives and 3 of them were losses. 14 times states passed. Only Arkansas in 2012 lost, and Arkansas's 2012 was 48.56%. Of course, they passed it in this most recent election. And South Dakota holds the distinction of being the only state where medical marijuana has been voted on twice and lost. In 2010, it was a 36.69% loss. In 2006, it was a 47.7% loss, which is really weird. South Dakota's support for medical marijuana actually dropped by about 11 points from one election to the next. Of these states that passed medical marijuana, their legislatures passed medical marijuana bills. And of course, legislators pass more restrictive medical marijuana laws. Only 3 of the 15 states that passed through legislatures allow all patients to cultivate cannabis. And another 3 of the 15 don't even allow the possession of marijuana. All you can get is non-smokable cannabinoid preparations, tinctures and oils and such. So the 3 that are the restrictive no bud states are Pennsylvania, New York, and Minnesota. And the 3 states that will allow all patients to cultivate are Hawaii, Rhode Island, and Vermont. New Mexico will allow you to cultivate if you get a special license. And then every state since 2010, every single state, medical state, either initiative or legislative since 2010, has not allowed all patients to home grow. In Arizona, they got that halo, which doesn't mean anything anymore now that, well, yeah, it still means something. And in Nevada, they got a halo now that was added to their law in 2013. And Massachusetts, you have to have a hardship exemption. And then all the other states with medical marijuana since 2010, no home grow. Now, there is some good news with the medical marijuana states in that of the 28 states in D.C. that have legalized medical marijuana, 8 of them will respect a medical marijuana card from out of state. Now, of those, 5, Arkansas, Michigan, Nevada, New Hampshire, and Ohio, have complete reciprocity. You can go to their states, you won't get arrested, and you can shop in the dispensaries. Arizona and Maine will recognize your card, but they won't let you shop in a dispensary. And Rhode Island is weird. They'll recognize your card, but only if your card is for some condition that's covered under Rhode Island's law. And also consider, since Maine and Nevada are legal now, reciprocity really is kind of a moot point, because as long as you're an adult, your card counts. Now, there's also states, 15 of them, where their legislatures have passed laws allowing the use of cannabidiol extract, CBD, so long as it's low in THC. And it's usually for the treatment of childhood epilepsy and maybe a few other seizure disorders. Now, Florida also has a CBD extract law, but they also now have medical marijuana law, so it's kind of redundant to call them a CBD state. And Idaho is the only state where a legislature passed a CBD extract law, but the governor vetoed it. So of the CBD states, there's now 102 million people living in a state that is a CBD state, and that represents 31.84% of the U.S. population. Now, we also have decriminalization in America. Decrim is where there's 21 states that have it, and these are laws that treat the personal possession of marijuana as a civil infraction with a fine or a minor misdemeanor with no arrest. It basically means if you're caught with weed, you're going to get a fine, but you're not going to get arrested. 8 of the 21 decrim states have since legalized marijuana. So their possession fines for decrim are moot. They don't apply anymore. Of the 13 other states that are not legal states, but they do have decriminalization, 9 of them treat it as a civil infraction fine, and 4 of them treat it as a minor misdemeanor. The minor misdemeanor states are Ohio, Minnesota, North Carolina, and Missouri. And Missouri's goes into effect this year, so it's a brand new decriminalization. Now, the other type of marijuana reform out there, industrial hemp. Well, no state has ever voted on an industrial hemp as a standalone ballot initiative. 32 state legislatures have passed laws allowing for research on industrial hemp. And the Farm Bill helps. That's the federal Farm Bill that gave the go-ahead to states with hemp laws. 5 of those 32 states have now got licensed hemp farmers currently growing. And another 4 of them have hemp research crops. And the rest of the states, the other 23 of them, industrial hemp research is allowed, but nobody's really undertaken it on any sort of scale. This means we've got 216 million Americans living where hemp is legal. That represents 67.38% of the U.S. population. So more than 2 out of 3 people, almost 2 out of 3. No, more than 2 out of 3 people in America live where industrial hemp is legal. So when you add it all up, you got 46 states and D.C. that have some form of legalized cannabis for some people. And again, some of these states have more than one of these laws, but 8 states in D.C. have legalized marijuana for all adults. 13 states that aren't legal have decriminalized marijuana for all adults. 28 states in D.C. have legalized medical marijuana for some conditions. 15 states that aren't medical have legalized CBD extracts for some conditions, and 32 states have some form of industrial hemp. That leaves just 4 states, Idaho, Kansas, Louisiana, and South Dakota, where just over 10 million Americans are always facing threat of arrest for possession of any type of cannabis for any reason whatsoever. That's just 3.14% of the U.S. population. You can find all this data and the graphics that go with it at weednews.co.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Earn your PhD in THC monetization with CannabisRadio.com. Don't be late.
Seeking a career in cannabis? Ready to become the next great bud tender? Increase your knowledge, skills, and hireability with a Trichome certification today. Trichome Institute is the only cannabis education company in the world with courses that include textbooks, workbooks, and expert-approved and government-certified curriculum. Trichome now offers these courses online. Take the courses at your own pace with 24/7 live human support from anywhere in the world. These courses are perfect for physicians, pharmacists, MMJ parents or patients, adult use customers, and most of all, aspiring bud tenders. The course includes full access to the cannabis industry's largest job board and even includes resume building help. Register for online courses with the cannabis industry's educational leader in science, education, and training. Visit TrichomeInstitute.com today. Doc Rob, the concierge for better living.
My guests say Razzie Berry. We're talking about nature, naturopathic medicine, as well as the concept of prevention and preventing disease.
Empower people to live a naturopathic lifestyle, get to know your body, understand its rhythms, remove toxins, and use natural alternatives whenever possible. 90 to 95% of cancers are due to environment and lifestyle risk factors. I mean, that's a huge number. That means that cancer is preventable.
The concierge for better living with Doc Rob. Only on CannabisRadio.com.
The Russ Belville Show, where the truth about marijuana gets more than a minute to speak.
The International Cannabis Business Conference comes to San Francisco, California on February 16th and 17th, 2017. The ICBC San Francisco, Northern California's first business-to-business event since the recent historic election, will bring together top state regulators and industry leaders to discuss permits, business models, and opportunities within the newly enacted laws and landscape. Of course, the ICBC also famously offers some of the best cannabis industry networking, leveraging our worldwide following to connect wholesalers, brands, distributors, investors, and strategic partners. And don't forget to come early for our VIP reception and stay late for our legendary after party. Join us for the longest continuously running cannabis business conference in California at the Hilton San Francisco, Union Square. The one and only International Cannabis Business Conference. Visit internationalcbc.com for tickets today.
Remember, friends, there's more to life than marijuana. I just can't remember what it is. Why'd I come in here? This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 41 after the hour. Got all sorts of stuff coming up this week here on the Russ Belville Show, exclusively live on CannabisRadio.com. Thursday is our Cultivators Corner. We're going to reach out to Jorge Cervantes and see if we can get him on the line for Thursday. And we've got some other guests that I'm just getting to. I don't have them booked yet, but all those emails that have piled up over the Christmas break, we're going to have plenty of really great guests to get to. I did want to talk about this story that I saw over the New Year's holiday, because the story caught my eye because it was about police being called because a pit bull had attacked a family because it didn't want to wear a Christmas sweater. Let me just read to you the story here. This is some quotes from the story. A dog angered by an attempt to put a sweater on it attacked 3 family members, one seriously, in Tampa on Friday, police said. Animal control and police responded, and animal control shot the dog with a tranquilizer gun. Wait, what? With a tranquilizer gun? That's where the story started to confuse me, because I can't tell you how many times I've had to read stories on a Facebook feed or in the news or following my marijuana posts where the cops, first thing they see a dog and they shoot it, they kill it, right? In fact, the Supreme Court had just ruled on this. I forget if it was the state or the U.S. Supreme Court had just ruled on this, where if a dog moves toward a cop and barks, he's justified in killing it. It was I think it was a family that had sued for damages or something. But anyway, so I read this story. They try to put a sweater on the pit bull. Pit bull gets mad, attacks and bites 3 of the family members. One of them real seriously. Animal control police responded. Animal control shot the dog with a tranquilizer gun. The story continues. The dog got into the house where there were 2 children in the back room. Oh, shit. Oh, here we go. This is where the dog gets killed, right? At that point, Tampa Police Department officers deployed a beanbag gun and stun gun to subdue the dog. Wait a minute. A tranquilizer gun? A beanbag gun? And then a stun gun? Wait, do all cops have this? Because, like I said, there's so many stories where the first thing the cop does is pull his service revolver out, service pistol, gun, handgun, blam, 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 shoot the dog, right? No, a beanbag gun and a stun gun. Okay. And then eventually, the story continues, eventually the dog was captured by animal control by using a catch pole. This is where they get that pole with a noose on it, right? And the dog can't bite you or anything. And that's it. That's the story, folks. That dog's still alive. And the one lady that got bit is still in the hospital, and the 2 others are okay. They had some non-life-threatening, non-serious wounds. But this is, oh my God, what a great way to start the new year. A story about cops being called about a vicious, quote unquote pit bull, which by the way, very few of they call pit bulls in the media are actually pit bulls. They're like a mix, a terrier of some sort, right? Whatever. But I get to start the new year with a story of a dog not getting shot by cops. My God, that's beautiful. That's wonderful, because I can't tell you. I got so many of these stories. I got this story here of, there's stories where the cop encounters the dog's behind a fence or in a crate, and they'll shoot it, right? There's no way the officer could have been hurt. Here's one in Commerce, Colorado, where the dog was restrained. It was already on the catch pole, right? They already had the dog's neck in the noose with the pole, and he tasered it and then shot it. Like it's already caught. There's a story where watching the video is just horrific, because it's this little dog. It's like one of them Scotty dogs, little Scottish looking dog, right? In a apartment landing. And it comes out of the door wagging its tail. Just a happy little dog, and the cop shoots it dead. This was just in February of last year. And there's just story after story after story here that I have of the cops killing the dogs. Now, there was one good news story that happened a couple of years ago, and this actually happened in my neck of the woods, my old hometown area, Meridian, Idaho. And it was an officer, David Gomez. There's a video of it up on YouTube, and this is where he's got two dogs that were kind of like vicious, kind of like, oh, these dogs mean business, right? These were not happy dogs. He was confronted by these two dogs, and he de-escalated the situation with the dogs. And he eventually got the dogs to go into the back seat of his squad car and then shut the door. And then they dealt with the situation. But this is because Officer Gomez was one of two cops at the Meridian, Idaho Police Department who got special training on how to deal with aggressive dogs. And this is where, like, the part of me reading the story goes, wait a minute, all cops don't get this training? Why are we not training all cops on how to deal with reading dog body language, knowing how to de-escalate a situation with a dog? I mean, postal workers in the United States were bitten over 6,500 times by dogs in 2015. That's the latest stat. 6,500 dog bites among postal workers. The postal workers get this training. They get the training. They learn how to put the mailbag in front of the dog. They learn how to de-escalate, so forth. And if worse comes to worse, they got a pepper spray they can use and so forth. So how is it that a postal worker can go every day, door to door to door, to hundreds of doors every day through rain, sleet, and snow, and knowing that their coworkers are going to get bit 6,500 times, knowing that it's going to happen, somebody's going to get bit? Are the postmen just braver than the cops? It's like the cops, oh my God, there's a dog, I have to shoot it and kill it because it might bite me. Ooh, aren't you wearing body armor during those SWAT raids? Like, how strong a teeth you think this dog's got? And what, you can't take a dog bite? Look, I'm not saying that cops should never shoot dogs. Guy's got, a criminal history, and he's got two trained, fighting pit dogs, trained to maul and yeah, absolutely. There's situations all the time where that should be the case, where the violence is justified. But what I'm saying is most of these cases don't rise to that level. Like, if the dog's head is not above your shin level, there's no point in shooting it dead. To what? Avoid a nip on the ankle for the cop? That's somebody's family member, man. That's somebody's beloved pet. That's some kid's dog these raids since a puppy. Now, bigger dogs, I can understand. There's a little more fear, a little trepidation. That dog could knock you down. That dog could tear a chunk out of you. But until that dog has done so, until that dog has actually lunged at you, there's no point in killing it. These cops need to be better trained. There needs to be more de-escalation of these situations, because I'm telling you, it is traumatic for people to have their dog shot and killed in front of them. I got videos on this post of a 5-year-old boy in Oklahoma. Oklahoma police officer shoots and kills family dog with an AR-15 during a little boy's birthday party, right? And it's unfortunate, and I think it happens far too often. And we really have no idea how often it happens. I mean, hell, there's no official records by our police as to how many humans they're shooting every year. So, no, there's nobody keeping track of how many canines they're shooting. There are citizens who've taken up this task. They've done some crowdsourced type of data collection. It was puppyside.com, I think. And they estimate that a cop kills a dog every 98 minutes in America. A little over an hour and a half. Every 98 minutes, some dog is shot by a cop. And I will keep focusing on this issue. The more I see it happen, I will keep bringing it up. And it's just a shame. And understand that the stories that you get when you actually hear a story of a cop shooting a dog on your news and stuff, it's usually the outlier story. It's usually because it was the wrong address on a warrant, or no drugs were found, or if they were, it was just a tiny bit of weed, or the person whose dog was shot is somehow noteworthy in some way. Most of these stories go unreported, especially if it's somebody who is growing weed, because then the media just paints it as, oh, he had his vicious pit bulls guarding his stash. All right, stay tuned. We'll be back. Close up shop here on this new year.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Forwarding the cause of legalization and research of the growing cannabis industry, one podcast at a time. The Cannabis Radio Network.
Play as Ted Growing, expelled botany sophomore and the biggest grower in town, only on Weed Firm Replanted. Available on the App Store and Google Play.
It's a lot of work being the biggest grower in town. Maintaining a room full of plants while dealing with a slew of eccentric customers? From a hardcore partier to the curious neighbor next door.
Is anybody home?
Help me expand my bud business by unlocking new strains, customizing my grow room, and completing challenges that you can't get enough of. Grow your empire so big you can see it from space. Low on funds? Don't worry. Weed Firm Replanted is free to download.
Download Weed Firm Replanted for free on the App Store and Google Play today. Get growing, Mr. Growing.
It's time for cannabis facts about Alzheimer's from Robert Platshorn's thesilvertour.org. This message is supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., a public company poised to lead America's hemp revolution at hempinc.com. A new Florida study in the journal Molecular and Cellular Neuroscience found that cannabis promotes the growth of healthy new brain tissue. It can slow the effects of Alzheimer's and may in fact be able to halt it entirely. A long-term study by Ohio State University's Professor Gary Wenk concludes that people who regularly use marijuana get Alzheimer's at a much lower rate than others. This was Cannabis Facts from thesilvertour.org, an educational nonprofit supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., a public company poised to lead America's hemp revolution at hempinc.com.
The Russ Belville Show. Chat is for friends 18 and older. We expect our chat to be civil, mature, and free from excessive profanity. If you don't like these rules, there are approximately 6 billion other chat rooms with lower standards that you can visit.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com.
Pod 2.0. It's not your father's Woodstock weed. This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, folks, 5 minutes to the top of the hour. We can just wind things up here from Delta 9 Studios with a little politics talk. I don't know if you've been following what's going on with the defanging of the Ethics Commission. I think it's the House Ethics Commission. Anyway, one of the ethics commissions, Republicans are moving to strip it of a lot of its power. So Rob Reiner, you know Rob Reiner, Meathead? Boy, I'm dating myself with that reference, aren't I? Rob Reiner, the director of Princess Bride and a number of fantastic movies, and of course, the ever popular Spinal Tap, had a tweet out about this, and now I'm losing it in my in my feed. But it was pointing out how we've got no press access, no ethics committee, and the most powerful country on earth being ruled by the tweets of a mentally unstable liar. Goodbye, democracy. Yeah, folks, it's going to get interesting. It's going to be interesting these next few years. And, you know, I don't know. I think our country's resilient. These folks that talk about it's the end of democracy, it's the end of this. I think our system is more resilient than that. I don't think it's. I think it's the end of forward progress. I think for sure. I think the next 4 years we're going to backslide in a lot of ways, in climate change, in recognition of LGBTQ rights. You know, can we stop adding more initials to that? By the way, I know I'm a stereotypical white guy and everything. I'm a winner in the privilege decathlon and all, and I want to recognize multiculturalism and all identities sexually speaking. But man, the other day I saw one that was LGBTQIA. I was like, after a while, you just want to put the whole alphabet in there, right? You can't keep track of what all the letters stand for. You know, there's a point in acronyms where the whole point of an acronym was to make something short, right? Now you're just making it longer. So I've seen some lately that have put up LGBT asterisk, but that's a little weird too, because it makes you look at the bottom of the page. All right, what's the disclaimer here, right? Are we only not counting transgender people? What's going on? So I don't know. I wish there was a better word. I don't like LGBTQIA, blah, blah, blah. It's just, you know, the more you add, if you don't add the more, then the people feel like they're not being included. And if you do add the more, then more people want to be included. And I don't know. Isn't there something simpler we could come up with? I don't know. I'm not going to come up with it. It's just a tangent I went off on. Anyway, yes, I think we're going to backslide on climate change, on LGBTQ, on women's rights, on addressing financial inequality, income inequality in this country. We're going to backslide economically. We're going to see bigger deficits. We're going to see more of that trickle down, trickle on type of economics being writ. There's going to be a Kansas Sam Brownback for the entire nation kind of plan. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe we even go back to the Cold War. We got Trump talking about needing more nuclear weapons. I mean, it could get interesting over this next 4 years. But maybe this is just that death rattle, that last throes of 20th century, you know, white supremacist, Cold War, macho masculine mentality. Maybe this is just its last throes. Maybe the inevitable rebound off of Barack Obama. And then by 2020, we'll have come to our senses and we elect, I don't know, President Oprah? I was joking about that the other day, but you know how the Republicans, they'll put out like a Fred Grandy, they'll put a Fred Thompson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump. They don't care if someone's been on TV. In fact, they see that as a positive. They see that as someone with charisma, someone that can move people. So, hey, Democrats, President Oprah and Vice President Newsom. That's all the time we got. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at RadicalRuss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.